process to send data from HTML to JavaScript. The process to send the data from HTML to JavaScript and JavaScript to HTML. The process to send the data from HTML to JavaScript and JavaScript to HTML. Okay, that is going to call as a data binding. So in the data binding process, your JavaScript will be responsible to collect the value from the HTML, and HTML will be responsible to collect the value from JavaScript. Now, while following this communication, while doing this communication, you will find in HTML we have two type of tag. Right below, in HTML, we have two type of HTML. We have two type of tags. What are that? One is called input tag and another one is called output tag. Input tag and output tag. Okay, in HTML we have total two type of tags. We have one is called input tag, another one is called output tag. Input tag and output tag. JavaScript want to send the data to output tag. JavaScript want to send the data to input tag. So, like suppose one side you have HTML, another side you have JavaScript. Now HTML want to send some data to JavaScript and JavaScript want to send some data to HTML. So in HTML, what we have studied? In HTML, we have a study called tags. In HTML, we have a study that is called as a tags. And tags was of how many types? Two types. One was called input tag, another one is called output tag. When JavaScript want to deal with the input tag, JavaScript has to behave in different way. When the JavaScript want to send the data to output tag, JavaScript has to behave in different way. Okay, what are that? Let's write here. JavaScript can communicate using input tags using, I have written here below, but again I'll write. JavaScript can communicate with the input tags using one property called value. Not only value, many more are there. But for understanding purpose, we can write value, we can implement, then we'll touch the remaining. JavaScript can communicate to input tags using dot value property. JavaScript can communicate with the output tags. At the same time, let me write here. JavaScript can communicate with output tag using JavaScript can communicate with the output tags. JavaScript communicate with the output tags using inner HTML and inner text. inner HTML and inner text. So this is the main point where we get confused. How I can send the data to HTML from JavaScript and how I can collect the HTML data from the browser in JavaScript. It's the main point where we get stuck. Ready? Go ahead next then. First example will create to see the difference of inner text and inner HTML. First example will create to see the difference of inner text and inner HTML. And after that, understanding the inner text and inner HTML difference, we will create the example of dot value. And then we'll mix this one and this one both together. Dot value and inner HTML both will mix together. Okay. So create a file in your data binding folder, data binding 1.html, data binding 1.html. Data binding 1.html. Yes, we have created the file no yesterday. Data binding 1.html. Start from HTML. Follow the body tag. Right inside call. Head section. Follow the script. Now inside the script, we will do something. Open close body. Right inside H1. JavaScript and HTML. Example for inner text and inner HTML. inner text and inner HTML. Okay, let's go here. Write a button in that. Okay, align everything in the center. You can use one center tag. Open, close, or will come in middle. On click. Call a function called one. Right inside call inner text. Call the function called do. Right call inner HTML. Ready? Inner text and inner HTML. Come down below. Write a PR. One more PR. Keep a division with the ID equal to ABC. Ready? Now let us remember one small theory. Your current file, data binding 1.html, where you have started the HTML and where you are ending the HTML. Line number 1 to line number 21. This entire content is come under the document, where you start the HTML, where you end the HTML. So your current file, everything in current file, where it is a start and where it is end, it is called as a document. Okay, it is called as a document. Now under the document, we have used so many tags: HTML, head, script, center, H1, button, BR, and then div. So whichever the tag you have used here, you know already in the term of HTML, it is called as a tag. In the term of CSS, it is called as a selector. But in the term of JavaScript, it is going to call as a elements. So you can say head is the element, body is the element, center is the element, H1 is the element, button is the element. All tags are called as a element. Now, when you click on button, function one will call. That function one will be written under the JavaScript. Now function one from JavaScript, it has to go to HTML and it has to find out something. Now suppose, let's go, write a function Five error method you can follow. Function 1 equal to you can go inside and keep a alert here. Call hi to function 1. Come down below. Next one call hello. We can rename it to okay. Return button click. Check now. Both alert is coming. Function 1, function 2. Hi, hello. Hmm? Both the alerts should come. Both is working, right? So function is calling, no problem at all. Coming down next, now we need to communicate with the HTML and JavaScript. So let's go here. While communicating, communication is also need to understand, and along with that, that is the difference of inner text and inner HTML also need to understand. Create a variable here. Give the variable name anything called data. Data equal to data equal to follow the H1 tag. H1 tag open close. System got instruction error. Next, after that, you can write inside welcome JavaScript. Then open the paragraph tag. Close the paragraph tag. Write inside. It's working. Save the file. create one more variable or one variable, let it be. It will not make much complicated. Now write inside. Inside the data variable, you have some content. Welcome JavaScript, it's working. Inside data variable, we have some content. Okay. Inside data variable, we have some content. That content we need to send to the division, those division whose ID is ABC. Inside the data variable, we have some content. That content we need to send to the division, those division whose ID is ABC. So in current page, there may be multiple division. Suppose let me write one more division here. Let me write one more division here. Let me write one more division. Multiple division we wrote. Now we are going to ask the JavaScript, send the content of data variable to those division whose ID is ABC. There is a multiple division, but JavaScript will not talk to all. JavaScript will talk to those division whose ID is ABC. So let's go here. Ask the JavaScript to search the element. Which element? As I told you, the current page is called as a document. So inside the document, you are going to find out one ID, those ID whose ID is ABC. So go here and write here. DOCU. Wait a second. Okay, so we wrote here like current document is called, current file is called as a document. So we'll write here document dot means in current file, document dot document document represent the current page. Document dot means inside the page. Apply a function. Function name is called get element. ELEMENT. You will write element exact same. It's a camel case. ELEMENT. Get element by ID. document.get element by id, document.get element by id. Okay, so you are asking the JavaScript to apply a function called get element by id and search those element, search those id, those tag whose id is abc, and if abc found, then in abc using inner text send some content that is available under the data variable. Okay, same line will copy, will paste in the second function, and instead of inner html will keep inner text will keep as a inner html, inner html equal to data variable. So document.get element by id, which id? abc dot inner text equal to data, document.get element by id, which id? abc dot inner html equal to data. So it's a camel case, you will follow similar, capital small. Save the file, run the page, inner html. That's what I'm giving you difference, no? Write and then run, you will come to know. Write, run the page, check now in browser. First button click is based on inner text, what is happening. Second button is based on inner html, see what is happening. Showing something or nothing? Inner text will display you h1 and paragraph just like the text in the browser, whereas inner text will display in the browser h1 and paragraph just like the h1 and paragraph, where inner html will display you the content of html, not just like the tag, something else. Let me show you the difference. I will run this page in the browser. In browser, when I click on inner text, you can see h1 is coming, paragraph is also coming, correct? Because your JavaScript has sent the content in the browser just like a text. So your browser will ignore the h1 and browser will ignore the paragraph. Browser will not understand h1 as a h1 and paragraph as a paragraph. Compilation will not happen for h1 and paragraph. If you use which property? Inner text property. But same time, if you use the inner HTML property, see, your browser is able to understand the h1 and browser is able to understand the paragraph, right? So inner text, what it will do, it will send the code in the browser in the text format. inner text, what it will do? It will send the your code in the browser just like as a text, whereas inner HTML will not send as a text, it will send as a compiled code, like output of the code, whatever will come. So you saw here, through the syntax, you are able to understand what is happening inside. Let me share this all. Then where we should use the inner text and where we should use the inner HTML. You can write here. You can write here in a paragraph, if JavaScript want to send data in a text format, then use inner text. Inner text. If the JavaScript is sending some content in the browser, and it should reflect in the browser just like a text, like your data saved successfully, please wait processing, email sent successfully, email is blocked, those kind of messages. If you are displaying in the browser, just normal text, you can use this property called inner text property. Inner text property you can use. But at the same time, if you are generating the JavaScript code in the browser, if you are generating the JavaScript code and that Java, if you are generating the HTML code, and HTML code should go to the browser, at that time we have to use this one called a inner text, inner HTML property. Let me write here next paragraph. If JavaScript want to send data in HTML format, then use dot inner HTML property. Ready? Let's come to the browser again and see here. Say JavaScript have some text data. JavaScript wanted to send in the browser. JavaScript wanted to send in the browser. JavaScript can use the inner text because there is only text. But sometime if you are doing dynamic operation, you are generating the HTML tag dynamically. So at that time, you cannot use the inner text. You have to use the inner HTML. Then only it will display the output. Else it will display just like as a text. Okay. Now, so these two, like usually you can say, okay, let me come to the, or okay, or we can leave that example. We can go in the sequence only, will be helpful. Checking. So you can write in developer guide, come to the developer guide. There we have written 2 lines. We can make a note there. Inner HTML and inner text we have written. We can apply some. Go in developer guide, right here, inner text for what purpose? To send and receive as text data. To send and receive as text data. Okay. I think we have worked earlier with your company. Company's info company. It didn't work out. So we cannot go ahead. We can leave it. Yeah. Yes. Yes. No. It has not worked out. Okay. So we cannot again start. Okay. So let's go ahead. So if to send and receive the data as text data, here for what purpose? To send and receive text plus HTML both. To send the text and HTML both. Written. Okay. Go next then. Create the next example. Data binding to .html. Data binding to .html. Oh, data binding to .html. Data binding to .html. Start from HTML. Come down. Follow the head section. So we understood inner text and inner HTML. Next, we are going to work for the dot value. Open the script and close the script. Right inside a function call one. Alert. I